Hello, amigos. Welcome to another Gex in the City Productions. I'm Cisco Gomez, navigating the ship, and you are listening to The Progressive Male. I'm trying to create an open space to have convos that challenges stigmas and hopefully try to fight this bloody cancel culture. Enough of the tiptoeing around. Let's start the conversations. We are here to hopefully enlighten, definitely entertain you. And yes, you did hear me say we because I am not alone. I am joined by the Ginger Ninja extraordinaire, multi-talented, and the head poncho to the Ins and Outs podcast, Mr. Kane Silver.
What's up?
Yes.
Thank you, Wembley.
Right? And then to my left, the barking, that's Mr. Dwayne Norsworthy. And Dwayne is multi-talented as Kane Silver, but also he's a motivational sharer. I don't know what that quite means. You're going to have to elaborate that. But it suits you, bro. It suits you.
Thank you.
Dwayne, thank
Yes.
you for being here, brother.
Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure.
All right, gentlemen, we have got another topic to talk about today.
Okay.
Today, I realized walking here, I was like, we are all in the arts. And after watching the Janet Jackson documentary that came out earlier this year in January, if you haven't watched it, please go and watch it. It was just so incredible to be allowed inside Janet Jackson finally because she's so private. But I thought what resonated with me was like, how does mental health distort and affect us as artists? Because just because they're Jacksons, it doesn't mean that we haven't gone through any of this. So in the documentary, it starts in chronological order. They go down memory lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
They go that she's from Indiana. They go back to the house where it all started, one bedroom or 2 bedroom house where all the siblings were there. And then Janet starts in 1974, which would have made her 7 years old. That's when she started, ball changing and Part of Rain on stage. Now, that is quite young, but for someone in the arts, that's quite normal. We have child stars all the time. Kane, when did you start?
I actually was in the Welsh National Opera when I was 7.
Excuse me?
Start
Yeah.
again.
I was in Madame Butterfly. I played Trouble in the Welsh National Opera.
Wait, all these
When I
years that
was
I've known
7.
you, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Please elaborate. How old are you?
7.
You were 17?
Yeah. So
Okay, so you and Janet kind of vibe.
yeah, we actually got a lot in common. Joking.
I love that.
Yeah. Just thought I'd try.
Wait, so at 7 though, was it a choice or was it your parents like, oh, just get him in there?
I actually don't know. But I always remember liking it. Do you know what I mean? I always remember having fun. I don't think I realized what was necessarily happening.
Uh-huh.
I just remember being like, you're going to do this show. Okay. You're going to do this on stage. Okay. And then, there would always be people, I didn't have lines or anything, and I didn't have to sing. I just had to be on stage and move around, and, I was the kid. Trouble.
Okay.
See what I mean? So it wasn't like I had to learn words and stuff like that. I just had to go, right, you're going to sit there, you're going to be patient and play with the flowers while she sings and kills herself. And you're blindfolded. But, to me, I was just like, okay, I just sit there with the blindfold on and play.
So after this performance, was that the catalyst to oh, I've got the bug now, I want to continue this? When did you start your actual dance training then?
Then I was kind of like, I wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, but I never, because I guess I'd seen it and I'd been on stages and been in theatres, but I never did acting classes, never pursued nothing. Because small town shit.
Because you're from Wales, aren't
you?
you?
From Cardiff, which is the capital, but it's still small town shit at the time.
Right.
And then I just, go to school and you want to do what everyone else does. I was already different. I was already the pasty ginger kid. Already had a weird name compared to everyone else. Everyone else was Tom or Dave, and I wanted to be a Tom or a Dave. And so I just blended in. So I was like, I'm going to play football. I'm going to do what everyone else does to fit into the crowd, right?
Yeah.
And then dance kind of was this thing as an after-school club, but it wasn't even dance. We were on scooters when micro scooters become popular, and you're only allowed to scoot when the music was on. And then they would teach us to try and do bunny hops on the bases, and it would relate you doing stuff to music, and then it turned into a really poor version of breakdancing. It was just such a weird journey.
Hearing this, I'm like, how did you even make it as a dancer? Bouncing scooters? I was like, what the hell? I mean, no shade, because, I came from humble beginnings too, but that's
Of course.
theatre.
Yeah.
Okay, fair play. All right, so 7 is not too young for you then?
No, but like I said, I didn't know really what was happening.
Okay.
I just remember always going on stage, there being loads of people clapping, seeing my teacher in the audience, and then going to school. The weird part was I remember going to I was in primary school, so young, and the head teacher, Mr. John Wilson was his name, and he was a fellow ginger, so he was very supportive of me.
Pick up the gingers in
Big
the
up the
area.
gingers, just holding it down.
Obviously.
And I'll never forget him telling the entire school that he'd watched me in the show. And like he
Got
stood
brownie
up,
points.
he stood me up, and everyone clapped me, and I remember being like, oh, "This is cool."
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
And then that moment, then I started doing like the school play, like, but it wasn't even a play. We just sang like "There's a hole in my boat, dear Liza," and I'd be like, "I'll sing a verse."
Shut the hell up!
Like-
that was my first ever solo as a song.
Really?
On my dance school, that me and this girl called Donna, that was my song. There's a bucket,
Dear Liza, dear Liza. Yeah.
To this
Wow.
day, I never knew. No one knew that song
That
because
was
that's prehistoric.
Yeah, so I sang that for the school recital. Like,
Kane,
Look at you guys.
we just had a moment.
Bro,
We're
I'm
bucket
dead.
buddies.
No, did you not just
Dwayne.
do white chicks? We're going.
shopping.
We're bucket buddies.
No, but Dwayne, for centuries,
That's mad.
I'm like,
Centuries.
who's ever heard this song? Like, no one knows about that song, and that was the
I don't
first
think I know this
thing
song.
you sang, and that was the
I'll
first.
sing it to you later, bro.
Thank you, brother.
I don't worry. I'll warm up the cockles, and I'll give you a little. So Dwayne,
Yes,
what's your
sir.
story? Because Kane, that's very interesting.
That is.
That is, but Dwayne, I'm presuming that you didn't start on scooters.
I did not start on scooters. No, for me, I actually got into dancing really late. I got into dancing at age 17.
Wow.
Yeah, really late. So my first love was and always has been acting. I loved acting.
Uh-huh.
Eddie Murphy being like, my
Yeah, I could
just-
see that.
Yeah, just loved Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, just the comedy. Do you know what I mean? That comedic timing. I love that. But dance, I fell into by accident.
Oh.
Simply by accident. Like, I always wanted to act. That was my first love, but I feared it so much. I feared failure and success. I didn't know I feared success as much as I did failure.
How did you know that so young, though?
Well, no, I found out I feared success
As
later.
the process started.
Yeah, but
okay, got you.
But failure, I was afraid of the process of, like, you know, when you was doing the acting, even to get into, say, Brits or all of these like art
Acclaimed
schools, like,
yeah.
you had to do an audition. Audition scared the out of me.
Yeah.
I was like, hell no. I just put a camera in front of me, put me on the stage. I promise you I can deliver. But a casting scared the hell out of me. So I ran away from acting, fell into dancing, street dance with Size 9, Shay and Dre. Big up Dre, big up
Shout
Shay.
out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Size 9 CNC, and I literally just fell into street dance, and I felt like, oh, I could do this. I never feared it because I was like, oh, I didn't even know I could do this. So anyone saying that I was good or bad didn't affect me
Because you were so good. It felt so good.
because it felt so good, and I didn't fear any of it. So I fell into street dancing, then fell into commercial, then fell back in love with entertainment.
Mhm.
And then I got into the motivational sharing.
Right.
Yeah.
So at 17, that's quite, I would say, a responsible age because, you know, you're in the later part of your teenage years. So
Yes.
it's all you. It's
Yeah.
not someone encouraging it or putting you or forcing you to it. As a lot of these stage mums and stage dads, this is how people's careers
Not
start.
my
Because,
mum.
You know, right.
She was far
Right,
from that.
because you know, with Janet, it was like the brothers are doing it. Now it's your turn. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
of
So
course.
it wasn't really a choice.
Yeah.
The best choice that could have been made. Hello, because we got Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Of course.
You know, because with my story is that I hated the art of repetition. In my primary school, all the boys would rush to the football field.
Of
or
course.
For my American listeners, soccer.
Let's go.
And that's all they would do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, there has to be more to life. So there was like the girls and the odd misfit here and there, and they would be more creative.
Yeah.
And I naturally was just really creative. I would like make up plays or like direct. I was just always in the mix with like fixing or making something up.
Right.
And Nicola Fahy, her name was, an Irish girl. She was like, you should come to my dance school. Now, mind you, at the time, because my mum wanted to keep me out of the hood,
Yeah.
I was those kids that had an after-school activity every day after school because my mum needed more time to work.
So it
And
was
she
like
just-
a form of childcare.
Exactly. And so I did everything from taekwondo to gymnastics to trampolining. I did Boys Brigade, which is like a form of scouts. I did Spanish class and maths classes. And I was like, Mom, I kind of want to try this dance class. And she's like, well, have a go first
Yeah.
and let's see. And when I got there, you know when they say when you die, apparently everything, you get flashbacks.
Yeah.
I had the opposite. It was like, imagine a page going but forward.
Oh, really?
And I saw my whole career flash before me. This is as I'm learning my first time step. Yeah, in tap dance, because tap
Holy
dance is my
Cisco.
first discipline.
Wow.
And it ended, this whole moment ended with like, you know them old school, you know in the movie theaters in America, how they would slot the letters in and then the bulbs would be surrounding the old
Yeah.
school
Yeah,
hand
yeah.
sign
Yeah, yeah,
with
yeah.
my name on it. That's how it ended. And it was just this spiritual awakening where I was like, wow, out of all the activities that I'm doing, everything that the courseworks in school and stuff like that, that means nothing. This is it. And I remember going back home and I couldn't even speak. And my mum was like, what the hell is wrong with you? I was like, Mum, this is it. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be an entertainer. And she was like, okay. But you're going to have to say no to one of your other after school activities. Like, yeah, bye gymnastics. That was not my zhuzh.
I'm out.
See, I would have dropped maths, but
that was no choice.
Oh,
my
is it?
Spanish teacher was my maths teacher too. And so it was like a 2-for-1 deal. And that wasn't an option. Yeah. But what happened is on a Wednesday and a Thursday, it was gymnastics and trampolining. And that was when dance class was. So I managed to like slot it in, you know what I mean? And it was tunnel vision from there. I remember being 11, which I thought was, in retrospect, is quite a late age because I started musical theatre. So it was jazz, tap, modern.
Yep.
And we did singing, but usually everyone starts at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So here's me, this 11-year-old, do you know what I mean, goes to this dance school, Westminster Dance Scene, which is the local dance school, and everyone's been there since before they can go goo goo gaga, you know?
Yeah.
So for 11, I was like, I really took charge of my career, and there was like nothing stopping me. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen.
But that's where I'm going.
I feel like your backdrop for your show needs to be the lights and the cinema thing. And
you know what's funny? It's going to happen because one of my dreams, now that I've done so much in my career and now I just want to be a full-time host, I want to do a variety show. That's I want a talk show, but a variety show is what I want to do. Bruce Forsyth is one of my biggest inspirations.
Wow.
And I really want to bring that old school razzle dazzle back. I want theatre, and I just see that. I know that because I'm going to be responsible for the aesthetic of it, obviously.
Of course.
I see that old school bulb with the letters and then my guests in red. Like, I just think there's something about that time. You know what I mean? That was just...
That's timeless.
Yeah. So with Janet, it was like, wow, you became this beast of a performer, but that was kind of forced upon you.
Yeah.
And with you were on scooters. You accidentally fell into it and then found the love. And for me, I had an out-of-body experience at 11 and just never looked back.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
He summarized that whole experience for all of us so nicely.
Yeah.
But you know what's amazing is that mentally...
Yeah.
We weren't affected because it was all a positive. It was kind of like a stepping stone of preparation to what was to come. You know what I mean? Where with Janet, what she mentioned what she repeatedly mentioned, throughout the thing is that the childhood was compromised.
1,000%.
And I don't feel any of us here. We still
had child.
Of that.
Yeah.
You know
and that's your developing time. Like that's
it
what
really
makes
is.
you. You know? Like.
Yeah.
So to see her go through that, like even. Skipping a bit, but like even seeing like the communication that she has with her family, like she got married secretly twice. Like that's a huge thing in society.
But
that's
you would though when you don't have control.
And that's what I mean. So like the fact that you don't tell your closest people essentially what's meant to be one of the most important things of your life. Twice. Obviously there's some real big trauma there, or something where it doesn't feel like maybe a mother, father, daughter relationship.
Do you know what I think it is? I think because every mother, and I've been teaching, for those that don't know, for 18 years now. And what I realize is that mother and father is a title.
Yeah.
Because the relationship is very different. You could have it in abundance or you can have it nothing at all.
Yeah.
And I feel with Janet, I don't think she lacked parents. What it was is that when you've been told what to do, what to wear from the age of 7, literally, how do you have time for anything else? So it was her taking literally control of her life. And the extreme was to do this in secret. The extreme was not to communicate with their loved ones because the sheer desperation of wanting to just be her own.
And make your own choice.
Yeah. And that's massive because we were given that, or it was our choice to do this.
Yeah.
And what I realize is, I'm glad you mentioned that, Kane, is that the love topic, because as you get successful, it feels more isolating because what we do is extremely isolating. Just because we're around 50, 100 to 200 people in auditions, or we may be in dance crews or companies, that doesn't mean that we are seen or heard. And I believe Janet Jackson acting like that, I kind of relate to because I didn't get married. No, I didn't get married. But I remember I was doing So You Think You Can Dance in 2 countries. And I think I was choreographing for the X Factor as well. And for the type of dance and choreography that I was training for, that's the peak. You know what I mean? I just remember one time I was in a job in China and I was just like, why do I feel so alone?
Wow.
Why do I feel so alone? And it made me really, like, for the first time, reflect And like, it was the first time that I realized that my career is not my life. I had to separate Cisco Gomez, and I had to reintroduce myself to Francisco Gomez.
And
'Cause
how
that
old
the
was you
person.
then?
I was, I want to say a strong 24,
Strong 24.
23, 24.
That's still quite
And
young.
that's young.
Yeah.
Like
that's still
to
quite young.
have so much. I don't want to say pressure, but it is pressure. But to be put on such a pedestal.
Yeah, no, I think what you're
You
trying
know?
to say is the awareness.
Yeah.
Because like this celebrity thing or like success, it's like a drug. It runs on adrenaline and it really does feed the ego and can create delusion. And me and delusion have always been best friends because
Really?
I've had listen, where I'm from a council estate with a single black mother,
Yep.
living 4 to 5 jobs, can barely do anything to me. Delusion had to take me out of the hood. Delusion had to like how else was it going to happen?
Yeah.
Statistically, it shouldn't have happened to me.
Right.
And I wasn't a looker as well when I was younger.
Yeah.
So delusion, I would sit in my living room, literally book signing for half an hour,
Wow.
speaking to fake people.
Let's go.
I would put the Britney Spears album
That's mad though.
and
That's
do costume changes from my living room to my bedroom would be costume change one, and my kitchen would be another area.
genuinely
I
manifested.
manifested this shit.
You manifested
like, you
so.
weren't telling me anything.
There was no other option.
No, there wasn't. And
But I understand that. I actually
you know what I
understand
mean?
that. I do understand.
yeah,
That.
it was mad. And so with the whole Janet thing, I was like, you did all these things
Yeah.
because of isolation and because you wanted control. And I didn't lack control because I was navigating my ship.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how success couldn't feed me. And success and these accolades didn't fulfill me no more.
Mm.
And so when did that happen to you, Dwayne? Because I feel like we all do that. But unfortunately, and I see it because I've been in the industry for 20 years, some people that switch doesn't.
You're right. You're actually right. For me, it happened definitely later than it was for you. Maybe about I would have been about, I'm gonna say 27,
So approaching your 30.
approaching my
Uh-huh.
30s more so, because my career with the boys, with Royston, Leon, Christian, Darren.
Yeah, you were
my
the moment.
Yeah, my
the-
career
yeah,
with
yeah.
The U-
say Priscilla.
The UK B2K.
The you
I love that rhymes
Yeah.
too.
But it's that whole stint, that time was a huge time. I remember I started at 17 and probably became commercial like about 19. I think I was at that age.
Mhm.
And it was like, we just went from strength to strength. So with Priscilla, shout out to Priscilla Samuels, love her to bits.
Yes.
And Paulette Minot, love her to bits as well. But Priscilla in particular really took us lot under her wing. And we were safe. We were cool, making money. Everything was great. You know, I was making more money than my mum. It was like you said, it was like I was being able to take myself out the hood, even though we never left.
Yeah, you broke that generational curse,
Yeah.
right?
And I was able to just provide and live and enjoy. And it kind of, when that changed, you know, that moment where work isn't happening like it was,
Mm.
it's that moment, Cisco, where I was like, oh, this can all change.
Like
But
that.
what were you going through? Was it an acceptance that dance was changing, or was it like, oh, is it me? Am I not good enough anymore? Am I being left behind?
It was all of the above.
Amazing.
It wasn't just the one
Isn't it
thing.
crazy how
Yeah.
it just happens in like one shot?
It was like literally I went from being able to pay myself a certain amount of money every month or every week to like, oh, I can't do
that anymore. Yeah.
And it's like, I'm still dancing, but I'm not dancing every day.
Yeah.
I'm not dancing every week. I'm not going to see the UK. It's not inundated with dates and jobs. And you're like, oh, I am human.
That's also because a lot of those jobs started to disappear.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
You know,
that also
when we lost
brings-
Top of the Pops in CD UK, that was huge
Like that.
for
That
us.
was dance's
Huge.
bread and butter. That's why. That's what I thought I was going to, and by the time I got there, all that had gone.
Right.
You know.
So that was humbling for me.
Right.
That was very humbling because it made me recognize that I am human, and that as much as I was confident, borderline cocky, arrogant, but I was more leading with confidence. But that humbled me.
because I felt like you were leading with your stage persona.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
1000%.
And that's why he said, you know, in case this is your first episode, listeners, like Dwayne and the gentleman that he was around, they were all black boys. They were the flyest black boys in the industry. And they were just always on. Like they would walk and it was as if it was like, you know, the corridor scene on a music video. Do you know what I mean? But that vibrato came from your performance art. It came from the artist within. So there was never an off switch, really.
Not really. No.
Yeah.
Like we were always on. And it became our reality.
Yeah.
Because it was still us. We were still being authentic, but there was also this performance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was finding that balance. And then when you get home and you sit down and you recognize that, oh, this can all end. And I have to be prepared, and I had to find other ways, other avenues. Hence why UDO came, and I was judging, I was hosting and I was doing different things. I was like, right, I'm more than just a dancer, which is what a lot of people would look at us as. You're just a dancer, and I used to hate that statement.
Yeah.
It's like,
because you're multi-talented. You got an amazing voice too.
But I just feel like even if I was only dancing, don't call me just a dancer because I add so much to that performance.
And that requires so many skills.
And to the industry too.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I used to, like you said in our last episode about stepping up as that person to be like more, because the people behind us, they need to be like, oh, that's what it means to be a dancer. They don't let anyone tell you you're just a dancer. We had tour managers telling us that stuff. So it was humbling. And I had to recognize that, okay, my career could end and change at any moment.
So as you're approaching your 30s, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm doing the maths correctly, you know, as a choreographer, I count to 8 and then I go back to 1.
Yeah.
So maths is not my forte. But your first child would have been born around this time.
My first child would have been born when I was 28, 29. Yeah.
Right. So that's difficult because it's like the jobs are not coming and now I've got another mouth to feed. I need to work.
I actually said to myself, and that's where the motivational sharing came in. So I actually said to myself, in that moment when Cassie was pregnant, I remember saying, right, I have to make it for this child. And in the exact same moment, it's same breath as my boy AZ would say, in the same breath, I then said, oh, I can't make it for this child. I have to make it for me. I have to do it for me first. I have to be the leading example of what it looks like to make it. Otherwise, my child is only going to follow the same thing and think that they have to make it for their child. And I'm just doing what I'm sacrificing myself for this child, when in actual fact, I need to live, I need to thrive in order to be a leading example of what it looks like to be successful, to be amazing, to be epic. Whoa. So this child knows what that looks like.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you kind of went a little bit in selfish mode.
I had to be, this is where my slogans came from. Selfish for selfless reasons. Me first, not me only. So I had to become that. Right?
Come on, boss.
Let's go. That sounds like it.
I remember I boarded the plane. Soon after that, I got a job. Boarded a plane, and the plane, you know, we've all been on a plane before in it, and the emergency procedure. Yeah. And they say to you, in case of an emergency, when a mask comes down, ensure you put your mask on first before helping anyone with theirs.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, oh my days, that's life.
Wow.
I was like, wait, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yes.
I need to put my mask on first, because imagine in the eye of danger, they're saying, ensure you help yourself first so you're in a better position
to help others.
And I said, if they're telling you that when it's at the peak of danger, you have to do that every day.
Wow, so you were on EasyJet and you got a life moment.
Ryanair, bro.
Oh, Cisco. No, it might have been British Airways.
That might means it wasn't.
No, that definitely.
You just did admit that the work was running low. So
work was running low. I'm not gonna lie.
Or it was for work.
Wow.
So
that's incredible. That is incredible. But isn't that so profound though when it happens? Because
1,000.
And the word humbling.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're such a performer, humbling yourself or detaching yourself from that persona is a moment.
It really is. Because you're now saying, you're having to admit, right? And accept and just experience, acknowledge and embrace every thought, feeling and emotion. So even your ego.
You have to surrender.
Yeah, you surrender. That here comes that word again.
I love that word.
I love
it.
You have to surrender to where you're at. And you go, oh, snap. I'm still that person, but I'm also human.
Yeah.
I have to recognize that. Like you said, the pedestal. You've been put on this pedestal. Everyone's looking at you. And then now you are here in the you know what I mean? You're lower than you were, and the people that were looking up at you are coming above. And that's why I always was like, you have to humble yourself. You have to recognize that everybody that you're meeting is going to be in a position that might change. and it's gonna change.
Yeah.
You know, and you've got to humble yourself and lead with that love and that. Just, you know what I mean? I had to humble myself. I had to.
Wow, that was a lot of information. So we need to take a big fat breath.
Woo! Woo! Okay.
Okay, indeed. All right, Mr. Scooter. When did you have this realization? Did you?
I don't know. I just remember. I remember moving home from LA, feeling a little bit lost, and then
Why though? Because
I lost my brother when I was there. I
Oh.
came home and it kind of just flipped my world upside down. Like it was kind of like my whole life, or as an adult, I'd just put career first. I never put being a human first. I never thought about Kane. I just thought about Kane the performer and what his CV is going to look like.
Wow.
And that was my sole intent.
you were on a
Like,
booking spree.
yeah,
tour.
like I broke up
yeah.
with girlfriends. I was like, you're in the way. You're an issue. You're gone. Like, and my sole goal was just to be what I called at the time successful.
Mhm.
And then obviously losing my brother, I came home within 2 days, and I never went back. And I was just like, I remember doing pantomime of all jobs with Mikey Frome and us talking. And I was like, yo, I feel so happy. And he was like, why? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I've just gone through the most tragic thing of my life, but I'm home and I'm like not doing things which feel like pressure, or I'm not trying to achieve anything. I wasn't chasing
You were just
a job.
living.
I was just
as
literally
opposed to just chasing.
Yeah, I was just like
Wow.
in the moment, and I was like, I feel happy. And then he literally went to me, then why are you going back? And that was the moment I decided I wasn't going to go back to LA.
I always wondered, Kane, why you didn't go back to LA, because I felt like it was because I know how disciplined you were with booking or
Yeah.
trying to book, and obviously losing someone is, if that doesn't derail you, I don't know what does. You know what I mean? But I felt almost like, did that actually derail you? Did that stop your destiny from continuing, or was it a point of realization going, why am I struggling, or why am I put so much emphasis on trying to make it in LA when it's about being more happy and content?
Yeah, do you know what it was? I think the hardest part of it, obviously losing my brother was tragic, but the hardest part about losing my brother is that I didn't have a relationship with him that I wanted, and that was due to me.
Right.
Because that was due to me sacrificing family, friends, and everything to just have a career. Like, if you had said to me, what's the last time I laughed with my brother? I can't tell you. Like, and that's the part that hurts the most. That's the part that's the struggle. And then I just was like, do you know what? If anything ever happens to my family again, I never want to have this feeling. Because losing him was hard enough, but actually losing him going, I wasn't the brother I could have been because I was selfishly chasing my dreams, that I wasn't maybe the support I should have been. And like, I have 2 other little brothers, and I was like, I never ever want this to be an issue with them.
Right.
You know, I never want them to feel like we don't, or me to have a memory that I don't have with them. So that was why, that was a part of the reason of staying home. And then I stayed home, and booking blew up. Like, I was working loads. For like a year and a half, 2 years, and I could never find like fulfillment. I never felt content. And
Because
I was
you were so busy on the go, you weren't really appreciating what you were actually
and I
doing.
just feel like I was in a rut without even knowing, you know. I was mentally not coping well, but I wouldn't ever be brave enough to talk to people about it. So whenever people would go, yo, how you feeling? Do you want to talk? I'd be like, no, I'm good. Like, and I would talk about it, and I'd be like, I could say what's happened. And they go, what happened to you, brother? And I can say it, but I would never speak about how I felt.
Yeah, it was all surface.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just felt like I had to keep moving. I felt like just
That was your defense mechanism,
just
right?
keep moving, just keep
Yeah.
going, and instead of like taking a break and pressing pause and going, yo, let's grieve for a bit.
Right.
Like, so instead of doing that, I would just be like,
Yeah.
yo, like, I came home in the October when it happened. I was working November and I didn't stop working. You know, like, I just didn't stop working for 2 years. And then every job I was on, I always remember being like annoyed at stuff and angry and like the negative Nelly. But I never had the insight to realize that it was my issue. I always thought it was other people doing shit wrong.
Which is what we do. We project.
We project, right?
Yeah.
And then once I was like, yo, I'm dancing for one of the biggest artists in the country, I've worked all summer, and I'd look at my bank account and then I'd be fucking broke. I'd be like, this doesn't make any sense. Why am I doing this? And then the opportunity to join Dream Boys come along, and my best friend at the time, still one of my best friends, Jamie, was doing it. And I was like, do you know what? Like, I'm going to go and have some fun with my friend, and I can make some money. And it was the first time, again, I went into a job where it took the booking pressure away, because it was the first time I've ever gotten, here's a job for a year.
Yeah.
It's consistent.
It's consistent. So it relieved that booking pressure stress.
Yeah, of course it did.
And I had fun because I was with my friend. So I relaxed. I put my guard down a little bit. I'd have a drink. Like, I wouldn't be so caught up on have to live in class or have to go to the gym 17 times a day to upkeep this aesthetic to possibly book a job. And it just kind of made me more of a human.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yo, why was I trying to do this shit for so long? Like, who was I doing it for?
So actually, it changed your destiny
Yeah.
to be your true destiny.
Yeah.
How old are you when this happened?
27. When my brother died at 25, but 27 was the
So nearly
joining
to
Dream
30.
Boys. Like,
Wow.
and it was the most fun I've had. Is it the best job? No. Was it the most creative job? No. But it was the most fun I've had because I
It's
stopped.
what you needed, though.
I stopped stressing about like
It's what
booking
you
jobs and trying to impress people. Like, it was trying to impress women, but in a different way. But like, it wasn't being like, yo, I need to make sure that like I need to impress my agent to book me on a job or live up to the expectation of what it means to be the working dancer or what it means to be a high caliber working dancer or that, you know, having people look up to you and be like, yo, why is he not on this job?
Right.
You know, I remember used to thinking like, yo, if I don't book this job, like, and I've booked every job for the past 6 months and then I don't get this one, what are people going to think?
Right.
Like,
Wow.
or what am I going to think? How am I going to feel? I never wanted to know what I'd feel like.
Right.
Because I don't like dealing with shit. You know what I mean? I'm a kind of person that I don't like dealing with shit. I just move on.
Okay, so the
Interesting.
next question that I wanted to ask both of you is, we've definitely acknowledged the moment,
Yeah.
right? But where are you now with that? Are you still the person where, to an extent, you work through it, or
yeah.
can you do you have access to like actually have the conversations and dive into it to try and like eradicate the problem?
I think I still have that gene in me that goes just Dory, keep swimming, get through it.
Well,
like,
here in the progressive male, you're not going to be doing that anymore.
like, do you know what I mean? Like, I still have that thing, but I'm more aware of the importance of having to sit down and like dissect it and, as you would say, surrender
Yeah,
to my emotions.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the, like, even speaking about it, like, I can feel it makes me feel choked up.
Right.
Yeah,
But
but
because-
a lot
but
of
it's-
men feel that way though.
But it's because
not,
I don't like. It's not that I talk about it in depth often.
yeah.
I'd just be like, this happened, and then I'd be like, so.
But name me,
Mm.
name me. You don't have to name them, but are there male figures where you could
Yeah, for sure there are.
that communicate how you don't? Because that's the reason I think why we don't, as men, don't really talk about stuff in general is because where is that example of, I'm feeling this way, I'm gonna cry in front of you, I'm gonna use the L word, I'm actually gonna dissect
So where's the
this.
example and where's the peers? You're saying? You're
Yeah,
asking
like
what-
because do you know what I mean? Like
I mean, I have, like, I don't have a with my dad. Like, we're cool, but it's never been that.
Surface,
It's never been that father figure. Like, my stepdad has more been that father figure.
mhm.
And then, I don't know, I just don't have that thing. Like, the one person where I feel like I can open up to would be John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
John
and I
Graham,
sit down
shout
and I
out.
can speak to John, and he can take emotion out of it and say, look, this is maybe how you should feel, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you'd help it and not make it like poor you, because that's what I don't like.
Yeah, you don't want sympathy. You just
I don't
wanna
want
talk
sympathy.
about
I
it.
want to talk about it. Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like as a man, you either get poor you, or you get
Oh, you're weak.
you're weak. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need either of those things. I just need an ear.
Yeah,
Right.
you just sometimes
And-
you don't even opinion, it's
and-
just listening,
And
right?
without this being like horrible, like, I don't want it to be my partner or my mum. Like, I want it to sometimes be someone
Ah.
else, because I know they can be that for me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And they always have been, and they always will be.
Mm.
But sometimes it's like you want to talk about. You don't want to tell the same person everything. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you need because maybe you know how they'll respond.
And you don't want to hear a textbook answer.
You don't want to hear the answer that you always get.
Yeah.
And the
It's gonna
question
be
was,
okay.
It's going to be okay.
the question was, is there other peers? So it's probably getting that from masculine energy as well, because you can get
It's
that from
important.
feminine, from mum or
Yeah,
your
'cause
partner.
they're
But it's
affectionate.
actually good to get that from.
It's so important.
Do you know what I mean? Someone, you're looking in the mirror, like I'm looking at you. You're another man. You're another
Yeah.
man. So I want to be able to speak to another man
Because
about
it's
this.
different, man.
Of
And,
course it is.
and I'll say it was a conversation with one of you two, and your advice might feel more relatable to me,
yeah,
Of course.
or your answer will feel more relatable.
Yeah.
You know, because maybe you'll see it how I see it,
yeah.
Mm.
But
like
at
when
least
I-
understand it.
or
from
understand it
where
how
you
I see it. But when I say it to like a woman, they don't understand it how I see it.
Right.
They'll say they do.
Yeah.
But the same way I
it's
don't.
the same.
think
It's the
them.
same, and it's the same as women. Like a woman will only understand a woman to that extent.
To that extent.
They've got that special bond
Yeah.
that only another woman can understand, and
Yeah.
we've got the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just I feel like because of society and these
Men don't do that.
heteronormative barriers, we don't do that because we either keep it moving,
Yeah.
or it's like it's a sign of weakness to expose.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Dwayne, where are you now with that? Because now this is approaching your 30s, and you know your career, it's different now. It's very different.
Yeah.
And so, are you still dealing with that, or have you come to peace with it?
Well, I'm 42 now. So
You
that
look good,
was,
bro.
Thank you, brother. I
He looks
appreciate
alright.
that.
He looks alright. Calm down.
Don't hate-
I'm
don't
joking.
hate on me,
No,
sister.
you look Chris. You look Chris.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. But like now, I don't think you ever stop dealing. Let me answer it like that. Firstly, because we're constantly and forever evolving. So you're
Right.
never, the wheel never stops.
Mm.
We're always going to find ways to continue to deal with how we're feeling. But I am at peace with it, to answer your question. So it's both. It's like I've come, like you can, I've come to this kind of space of like, it's what I call the AAEE. I acknowledge, I accept, I experience, and I embrace every thought, feeling, and emotion. Right?
Yeah.
But I don't become those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And now I've mastered and continue to be mastering that. I feel at peace. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm the sky, and all my thoughts and feelings and emotions are passing clouds. So I know now that I can speak to my peers. I don't feel embarrassed to do that. I don't feel embarrassed to use the L word. Like, I tell my boys I love them. I tell my brothers, I tell my sisters, I tell my mum, I tell my kids. I use the word love a lot in my everyday conversation.
It's important.
Yeah.
Very important. So, and I'm not ashamed of that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you might have to share it differently with certain guys. Man, I love you, bro. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
With other guys, it's more like, bro, I love you. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just, again, it's how they receive it. So I've learned to be really totally accountable and responsible for me.
Mm.
Do you understand? And I know that the power of that starts and stems from me.
Right.
And I can't put that on anybody else. So I'm just continuing to just accept who I am in my true
That's amazing.
authenticity. Do
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
that's difficult, and that's a process.
Yeah.
Because I don't think because you're always evolving, or should be, in my opinion anyway, ever
1000.
growing, you never quite catch up.
No.
You know, you're always like, once you get there to, well, I'm
It's
somewhere
moved
else
again.
now,
Yeah,
so now
it's
I
like-
have to climb
it's
again.
like you're
It's a
there and
forever
then you go,
climb.
oh,
Yeah.
oh, I've got to keep moving.
But I really thrive on that.
Yes.
I'm very specific, especially with my partner. I'm just like, if I'm the same Cisco as 2021 and 2022, dump me.
It's an issue.
Because it can't be. Like, I'm such an aware person, and I'm such a capable person to fix things.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to keep on evolving, because it needs to feel like a full-time job.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And I feel like the more conversations we have, once the momentum starts for a lot of men, then it becomes second nature. So instead of talking about sports or women or like who you shagged, it's now like, how you feeling?
Yes.
How do we get from A to B? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And what do you need?
Yes.
And I think that's really essential in a male relationship, because there's usually one of those things or none of those things.
So true.
We don't really embody it like women do. You know what I mean? And this is why I think women are the superior beings, because I'm just like, wow, like how the ability to just emotionally sink in
Yep.
almost straight away is incredible.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have the power as men to do that too.
Yeah.
And we should be oiling those tools and using them.
1000%.
Amazing. One thing that I loved about the Janet documentary as well is just how much shit she took and how little she retaliated from pregnancy rumors, which, you know, Debbie Allen said that she wasn't pregnant because she was shooting Fame at the time.
Yep.
From, you know, her Michael Jackson, the whole pedophilia thing, and the skin, whether it's deficiency or the bleaching, who knows, right? But that, and then obviously the other stuff that Jackson.
Yeah, living in the shadow, I guess. Of
Yeah,
her
and
brother.
she mentioned what was that term she used? It was like something by association.
Oh, was that to do with the pedophilia?
Yeah, just
thing?
in general, because she got that Coca-Cola deal, but then
They took it off her.
They took it
off
off her
her,
because
right.
of that.
yeah, because she was affiliated with it. She had
yes.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And so
The
what a
Jackson
lot
name.
of what a lot of people don't realize is, as artists, especially, if you're like this is before influencers was a thing, and you can get paid. But if you're a person of influence in the arts, or if you like a hot topic, let's say, there's a lot of shit that comes with that.
Yes.
And a lot of people are like, oh, you know, they don't pay my bills, so it doesn't matter. But it's not that easy. How do you deal? Because I feel like with you, Kane, it's different to Dwayne, because Dwayne was like, and the boys, they were the moment where you were more worried about what people thought about you.
Yeah.
So how much were you always listening if there was something about Kane, or was there a sense of paranoia, or were you oversensitive?
I don't know. Sometimes, like, because I always think I'm someone that doesn't really care what people think about me. I care what I think about me.
Right.
Woo. You know? Like,
But you do and you don't, though,
yeah,
at that time.
At that time. And I think it was a I've got to make it kind of thing. I feel like I was always told that I wouldn't. I was always told, like, oh, you love dancing the most, but you're not the best. Or like I remember being told, like, you're a really good dancer, but being a dancer is about how you look.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's about the
talent,
aesthetics. Like, and I was like, I wasn't fat, but I was a short, chubby ginger kid. Like, essentially, I didn't fit the mold of a essentially aesthetic working dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, my whole thing was like, I have to make it to prove everyone wrong, and I have to look a certain way. And I think I cared more about the things of what I look like. And if I didn't get a job, it was more down to because I didn't look the right way, because people had always said you don't look the right way, or I was told you'll never be a dancer because you can't straighten your legs. Like, it was all aesthetic things. You know what I mean? So, like, my whole thing was like, and that's why you always, when you said I was really like disciplined to be unbookable, I think that was the reason why. It's because I didn't want to lose the aesthetic. I always wanted to make sure that I was always ready, as in, if they took my top off and someone was like, he looks like he's put on weight, like, yo, that would have ruined my life.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
So body dysmorphia.
So yeah. So I don't even necessarily think it was the thought of people thinking Kane's not good is why he didn't get that job. It would be me going, I didn't get that job because I didn't look right.
Wow.
And then what do people think about what I look like?
Wow.
That's crazy.
Dwayne, do you have that, or what was your
Mine's
situation?
I mean, we spoke about this a little bit off camera, and I'm gonna go into it. Was more to do with like the pedestal, you know, where like I'm nowhere near Jackson like status.
No. But in the dance world,
in the dance world,
yeah, you were that.
There was a status and a pedestal we were on that we had to be, and like I couldn't afford to be taken off that pedestal almost. Like, and I
had to keep up with appearances.
And I wanted to just come off that pedestal, because as far as I was always concerned, it's like it was never about fame, money, and the success. I enjoyed dancing. I enjoyed like even the limelight. I enjoyed being admired and being an inspiration. I enjoyed that, but not at the sacrifice of my humanity.
Yeah.
And I felt like a Jackson, like people lose sight of who they are as people.
Of reality.
Yeah, so it's like they're just your property. And I felt like people were looking at me like I was their property. I didn't go to auditions. I didn't do none of those things. I got jobs simply because I was already in there.
You're Dwayne.
I was Dwayne. So I never went to auditions. But that was, again, because of the same, my fear. I'd go with Christian Golka. Big up Chris, yeah? Who was extremely confident.
Yeah, he was.
Very, very borderline arrogant and cocky.
Oh,
but
no borderline there.
Yeah, he was. But his confidence was just out of this world. Christian would tell me, like, I remember when they were doing, like, Christina Aguilera auditions. They only needed, I swear it was only one guy. Christian said, that job's mine. And I went to that audition with Christian. And it was that kind of thing whereby you'd walk into an audition and everybody be saying, there's Christian.
Yeah.
And it was all of that. And it was like, that on one side was great, but it was also, because I felt like people hated me as well.
Yeah.
So they loved me. People smile, hey, Dwayne, and then,
yeah.
Yeah,
they're like,
because
oh,
they think
he's
you're
going to
too
get it now.
nice
Yeah,
because
and
of
it's
the
like,
bravado you had.
Yeah, and it's like, no, I actually want to support you and I'm actually here just supporting Christian. I'd actually come and support you, and I'm happy to. You want the job? Cool, man, go. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was that for me. It was almost not wanting to be liked, but wanting to be seen as my true self. Like,
so even through the success of it all, you're like, yeah, you see me as the entertainer, but can you see me as the person? That's actually better than the
yeah,
artist.
like I'm actually
I
a
can
nicer
relate.
person
I can so relate
than the
to
persona.
that.
I'm a nicer person than that. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
And a part of that then started not beggy like pick me, but there was a bit of that where you're like
see me,
and then you go flip it, man.
Which is quite interesting because, like, I know, like, lots of dancers of my generation and younger would be, like, so intimidated by you.
Oh, you
because of you know what I mean? They're so intimidated, and sometimes I get why, because you've had in the past you've had your moments, you had your reason. But if people knew you on a personal level, they see how actually you're the most loving, kind, fun person.
1000%.
You know what I mean? But everyone sees you as Cisco, not Francisco.
Yeah, Kane, and that's what I struggled the most, because I remember, like, the arrogant side to me was created because of all the shit I was receiving. And I didn't understand why, because no one could tell me that I was arrogant or out of pocket when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It didn't happen. I was just so honored and happy to be a part of the industry, and because I'd worked so hard to get there, and it happened in such a short space of time. I was like, I'm still a forever student of the dancers and people I was around, but I then became a product of what people would say. Because I remember seeing a VH1 documentary, you know, like I think it was Cribs or one of them things. Mariah Carey, she's been always called a diva, and I remember her saying, like, you know, I give the haters or the people what they want, what they want to see, but I'm still gonna do my thing. And I remember going, oh my God, because it was like, why is no one seeing me for who I am? Why are you judging me because I'm so good? Because that's why the hating came from, because I would be in a room, stand out, sometimes for the wrong reasons, because I was doing too much, but you can see passion over, you know, passion would seep out of me.
Definitely.
And I would be hated on just because of that.
Yeah.
No one came up to me to say hello, goodbye. Like, I can name the people in two hands, the people that actually took the time to get to know me. So I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm going to become that person. And then when I got Dance to Excess, I created the shell. And my analogy was, I'm going to become a weapon of mass destruction. Jeez. So when I get to these auditions, you will crumble. But that wouldn't happen to the people that know me, right? My company members or my peers that I had a relationship with. And the problem with that was I became that.
Right.
And I remember it happened late. What it happened, I sussed it out a lot, but it happened. Pussycat Dolls had an audition for the EMAs, and everything was running late. And Jermaine Brown was choreographing. AMCK were the head ponchos. And then what happened was, you know how usually they'll get the headshots, and then it was like, you go group 1, group 2. There was no time for any of that. Oh. So I was near the front. So they were like, all right, Cisco, we need 5 dancers of Cisco, and we're going to go down the room kind of thing. Quick thing. The whole room went.
No one
like,
wanted to be.
No one danced. And there was high-class caliber dancers there. And it got awkward because it was like 2-3 minutes later, no one. And then Ben, I can't pronounce his surname, you know, with the mole.
Oh, yeah, Ben.
Terragomi.
I know, Ben. Yeah. Love Ben.
Yeah.
Shut up, Ben.
So he was there, and he was like, we're trying to book this gig. Like, you know, and then everyone started laughing. And then I was like, oh, shit, mission accomplished kind of thing. And then Tommy Franzen was like, oh, I'll dance with you. And I was like, thank you. And then the audition started.
Right.
And I remember going back, being so happy that happened. But I was like, Cisco, but this is why you didn't work as much as you could. This is why love isn't going the way you are, because you've become a weapon of mass destruction. No one's going to walk towards a torpedo. No one's going to walk towards a bomb. And so I became that. And so what it was, that protective layer then embodied me and took over. So this is why, even if I was in the best mood, when I would walk, the flowers would wilt. Dancers would part ways. On top of everyone going, Cisco, 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 there was also like, fuck it, Cisco. Or like, ugh, look at him, he thinks he's so good. But in my head, I'm like, dude, listening to Venga Boys.
Yeah.
But my energy was like, shield, bomb.
Yeah,
like,
protection mode.
Because I remember you posting a video on Facebook in like 2011 or something. And it was about like you being like, people saying like, I can't get a visa, or I'm going to LA, or I can't dance like a man. And it was very like defensive. Like you put it on Facebook, like, I think I probably met you like once or twice.
Okay.
And I remember watching it with Leighton Wall, and you put it up, and like we were all in the studio, like our little studio in Wales, being like, what, look at Cisco. And it was saying like how you're versatile and all you haters are hating and stuff like that. And it was very like defensive. And like that was what I thought then you would be like. And then
right.
Do you know what I mean? I was like, oh, he's this like, say what he means, like just pow, 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 like knock everything down, like don't take no shit.
Yeah.
So then even meeting you, I was nervous. And then when you get to know you, you're like, oh,
yeah,
he's listening to Venga Boys, and he's like,
do you know what it is about me? It's like when I'm on, and especially if I'm teaching, there's a discipline that I will never compromise. The problem was, with the cards I was dealt growing up, it was always tough love. I was raised by a black single mother, so there was no time for you to react. It was like, keep it moving or else you're being swallowed, or else we're not going to make it. And so what happened with Dance to Success, for the listeners, Dance to Success was the company I had for just under 8 years. What happened was, it was like, in my head, I was like, I love you guys, and I'm so honored that you guys come day in and day out to rehearse and to get better with me. But really, why would you want to be my friend outside rehearsal when every single rehearsal you'd be the point of either suicidal thoughts or like I'm going to jump out of a bridge? Like, no joke. I was so intense. But in my head, I was like, I love you.
Yeah.
But
you-
that didn't
translate.
So when I had that moment at 23, 24 that we were talking about, I was like, why does this feel so isolating? Because a teacher, we give so much. There's not a check. It's like parenting to an extent. And I was like, I don't have the relationships to show for it.
Yeah.
And before I started complaining, I was like, it's me. Why would you want to be friends with me? Why would you want to go to drinks with me when you fear me? Or there's this like, I had this effect where like it was never enough. And in my head, I was like, you're doing so damn good, but there's work to do.
Right.
And I focused on that.
Right.
So then when 2XS stopped, and I started really like, I made a list of my cons. And I was like, I'm going to work on these things and I'm going to change them. And then I went through a phase, and this is because of all the shit that I received. I was like, I need people to see that I'm changing. And then that lasted for about 6 months. I was like, baby, no.
It must be exhausting.
And also what it was, I'm ignoring or not focusing on the people who actually are fucking with me,
Right.
who know me,
Right.
who actually tell me how it is. So this is a personal journey. This isn't a performance, Cisco. Hang those shoes up.
Yes.
And so 26, 27, 28, 29, I'm in my groove. And then 30, I moved to LA. And I was like, this is a new arena. I'm not Cisco Gomez. I'm just Cisco.
Yeah.
And so I get to practice what I play. I get to put these things into use. And it's been amazing because I just had celebrated my birthday in LA, my 37th birthday, and 20 people turned up. And no one had, like, when they speak about me, you would think I was the Dalai Lama. Like they've got so much, like, when people, like, you know, Americans are a bit more vocal.
Yeah.
And I'm a person it's very difficult for me to receive.
Okay.
I can be someone's wingman, hype man, everything.
But to
But when it's
receive
about
that,
me, I'm
yeah.
just like, cool.
Yeah. I used to be the same.
Yeah. To this day, it ekes me. But now I'm like, I have to receive because you've done all this work for nearly a decade.
Yep.
And now the man you wanted to become, you are.
Yes.
And it's because of these testimonies and how enthusiastic and how these people are showing up and pouring into me without even me asking. I'm like, fuck, I haven't even realized I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, as I move to a different career, I really have put Cisco Gomez so separate. When I'm on, I'm on. But when I'm not, I'm not. And this is why when my hosting, I'm going to be Francisco Gomez, because I feel like Cisco Gomez was the alter ego, the dancer.
Right.
And Francisco Gomez, yes, it's going to be still on camera.
Of course.
But it's the man that I've become, that I've embodied.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? And that took so long. And it wasn't until my birthday where I sat there and I remember I was in a party bus, random. And I started crying because I was just like, wow, these people really fuck with me. And some of these people are so new to my life because of the relationship I'm in. So it's like friends of friends. But the messages I receive, these conversations I have with them when we're sober, by the way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that means more.
And I'm just like, you know, when you hear it and you're like, I know I'm those things.
Yeah.
But why am I so surprised? I'm like, no, I'm not surprised. I'm going to sit there and suck it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
Because Cisco 21-year-old, 22-year-old to like 37-year-old is like a personality transplant, you know, but I didn't let it derail me. And I feel like a lot of people, because of the extra pressures that we have, that we talked about, this industry, it makes us change for the worse.
It does.
And I don't think Janet did that. I think Janet, like, there's this like decorum that she sustains.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing because, like, we go through our shit, but she's going through that publicly.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
And we can relate to it to an extent.
To an extent.
But not on that magnitude.
But look how she turns out. So it's like, you know what, Janet, if you can do it,
and
I can.
Do you know, watching it, what I loved is no matter what happened, no matter who they spoke about, she would always say, like, they were such a great person. They were such a good this.
Kane,
they were such a good that. And I was like, yo, these people have fucked you from the jump. Like, they're not all been horrible, but like drug addiction partners, all this stuff. They've cheated on you. And she'd still be like Dupree, who's
Renee?
No,
Jermaine Dupree,
Jermaine
when he
Dupree.
cheated, yeah.
He cheated, and even though he cheated, the whole time she's going, he's such an amazing guy.
You know what I love? I love that you mentioned this, because you know what I love is that we all know that her father was very blunt and very hard. And what we heard in the industry was that he was very easy. He was very heavy on his hands.
Yeah.
And the way she protected
his name,
his integrity and his name, I was like, you know what? Because through all the madness and all the maybe the OTT-ness of being a father, because he did too much
Still
many
her
times.
dad.
She's so thankful and grateful,
Yeah.
and like it was so important for her to like almost like reclaim the name.
Yeah.
And like he's not here anymore, and he's not gonna be seen in a negative light. That is my
You're not gonna
father, and
tarnish
that's
him.
the reason.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I was like, bitch, yes.
But I think she upheld that for everyone. That's
you-
the point.
yeah,
It was
but
like what
especially
you're
him.
saying, but
Yeah,
especially him because it's
especially
her
him.
father. But I think the point was, I'm not gonna let you tarnish people's name based on a behavior
And what
that
you
they
saw.
did and
Yeah,
what you saw.
'cause
Like, yeah, they cheated or yeah, they took drugs, but I saw them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she
And they
acts
were
on love, regardless
it's
of how
like,
low
they
it is,
were nice
right?
people. They made some mistakes, but that didn't change me
And
knowing that they were
you-
still nice.
You know what was really interesting to me is how throughout the entire, especially the first few episodes, it was all about like, you know, she was under control and she wanted to be known for being Janet, not for being Janet Jackson.
Yes.
Yet, however, every time she speaks about herself, she says, we the family, how do you feel about performing at the Super Bowl? You know, we as the family love entertaining. She never spoke about herself as an individual. She always spoke about herself as a family.
Because she's
Or
selfless.
us as the name. But she wanted to be recognized for who she is, not who they are. And I always found that quite interesting. For someone who like wants to be Janet Jackson for being Janet, not for being the brother of Michael.
the sister of Michael.
The sister of Michael,
yeah.
sorry. But she still would always be like us. She would put them on a pedestal.
Because it's
She
still
would
my
hold-
family.
She would hold them to a high regard. And I was like, yo, there's something
Isn't it
like
beautiful?
there's something incredible about that. And I was a Janet Jackson fan before this for like musically, but I didn't know much about her. Like
Well, no one did. That was the point of it.
But yeah,
You
but
know
it
what I
was
mean?
It's mystery, man.
and literally I watched it and I was like, I need to work for Janet Jackson.
That's
like
amazing.
I fell in love with like who she is, or from at least what we've been
From what we've been,
so-
yeah. I just felt like I kind of understood again, kind of what you spoke about. I got to know her as a person, like even though we still don't know her, because you know
Yeah.
you get lost in that. Let's not get twisted.
Yeah.
Still don't know her, but I still felt like we got to see them on a human level. Like you said, we got to know her, and she spoke about her family.
Yeah.
As human beings, guys. Like yes,
And
they're
as
the
and as-
Jacksons.
yeah, and as
But
twisted
do you
and
see
famous.
where we came from?
Yes.
Look at
Yeah.
that house. We came from the exact same place you did,
Mm.
right? We did the work. Like, don't now see us as this mystique Meg. Like,
And the first episode, she walks into the house and she says, "It's cute."
hi, bro.
She was like, "This is so cute." I'm like, "Bitch,
And mind you, she probably lives in
nine
like,
of you." Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like 9 of you lived in one room. How can
but
you say this is
that's what I
cute?
mean. Is because she appreciates. She had to go through that to where she is now. And so
1000%.
you see the beauty in that, regardless of how
And-
rundown it is or basic it is.
And even like the whole Justin Super Bowl thing, she never threw him under the bus once.
At
No.
all.
I
She was
mean-
like, "I'm gonna take the heat for this.
Let
Don't do a statement."
Let me tell you something though. She's a better woman than I am, because you are not telling me that was not choreographed. And I think because of the backlash of it,
Yeah.
she was like, Justin, I'm not sending
not
you
putting
under
this
the
on
bus.
you.
But we all thought Justin could have done more, but we find out in the documentary that she was like, no, say less.
Yeah.
Because it's the target's on me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was obvious, and she was trying to become that more sexy figure, wasn't she?
Yeah.
She wanted it like the photo shoot, Rolling Stones cover. Like everything started to get sexier. So maybe
Yeah.
you're right. Maybe that was part of
It was, man. That panel was way too perfect.
the timing.
And the timing that you finished posting and then I'm gonna reach. It just didn't make sense. It wasn't part. If it was part of the like choreography and then it was like a whoopsie, I'm sorry, Janet. We live for you. That was choreographed and it backfired. Period.
Just goes like, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah,
But I wasn't mad at it.
no, listen. I mean,
was
it
never
was
mad at
it
it.
was
I was never-
unnecessary, but it's fine. Whatever. It's Janet Jackson. She can poo on stage and we would clap. you
But-
know?
but
I would clap. I'd be
Hey,
surprised. But
Surprise, but
But also the timing is interesting. So back then that was so frowned upon, whereas now we're all about free the nipple.
it's because it took her to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why Janet and the Madonnas, they were the trailblazers. Because of them, there have been cultural resets. Period.
Period. I mean,
know
had
what I
it have been Madonna, there wouldn't have been no uproar.
Right.
Madonna been doing that.
Right. Oh, I love it. I love it. I like to end everything, boys, as you know, with the progressive question.
Okay.
And today in my mind, when I was listening to your testimonies, it was like surrendering is so important.
Yep.
But I feel like, as cheesy as it sounds, if love is not even in the peripheral of a situation, then there's no healing or there's no moving forward. So my question for you listeners is love inherited, or is it something that we need to learn how to do automatically? Because growing up, I always thought like, oh, to be my friend or to be my inner circle, you had to earn that place.
Right.
And that's entitlement, that's arrogance. And
It
now,
is.
like, I can genuinely access love for a homeless person. I can genuinely when I see someone, let's say in Leicester Square, who's crying, I will stop. You know what I mean? But it took a lot of rewinding. But are you like that? Is love inherited for you? Or is it something that should be or is automatic? We would love to hear your thoughts about that subject. Boys, thank you so much. Another incredible, enlightening moment. Please check out Ins and Outs podcast with Kane Silver. Dwayne, we're going to get you sorted because you got bars, bruv.
I got
You got bars. Thank you so much for all you listeners. I hope you have fun with us. And you know how I'm going to end this. Keep it real without the spiel.